Assalamu alaikum. This is Dr. Oneem Kastar back for sharing some experience from my professional life of teaching. Today I'm going to talk about something to which the people who are aspiring to be teachers may be ignorant, and that is the the continual learning process of a teacher. Well, I will start from myself. When I joined the field of teaching, I thought that whatever I have learned during my own bachelor's of engineering or whatever education I got, whatever I learned from that, that is enough. And since I understand that, then I can be a good teacher. That was uh, my perspective about the field. That once you are a good student, if you have a good grip of the subjects which you have been taught, you will be a good teacher, or at least you will be you don't have to learn so much at least. But while I entered into this field, I start feeling that knowing the subject is not enough. First of all, okay, this was my first experience, that if you know the subject which you are teaching, that is definitely not enough. You have to be able to learn how to deliver it. Just having it is not teaching, or is not sufficient for an effective teacher. You have to learn how to deliver it effectively. So that was my first experience. The first thing which I learned, that I have to learn this. I have to learn how to deliver the information, and with it there are different aspects: controlling the class, working on your body language, working on your presentation skills, and so on and so forth. Okay, this is related to the the delivery of the content. Then, with the passage of time, I learned and I observed that many a times students are not satisfied with the education or with the teaching which they are getting, even if it is from a very good and effective teacher. And the main problem which I found was that students were feeling that whatever we are learning is not practical, is or it is outdated. So students, while they are learning, or after they graduate from that course, they have these doubts that whatever we have learned in this course, was it practical? Is it going to help us in the professional life? And secondly, is it up to date? There are two important questions, or the two doubts which are created in the student's mind. Now, to answer these doubts, you cannot remain in your circle of comfort. You have to come out of your comfort zone. As a teacher, you have to come out of your comfort zone. Now, there are some teachers, and at some point of time I was among them as well, which feel that this is normal, having these doubts is normal, and you should ignore them and just continue with your job. Okay, do as you want, or do as you know how to do your job, and that is enough. To some extent it is correct. You cannot be distracted with each and every issue with the student, but these are two major issues which are created, which are popping up in all your students minds. So you cannot simply ignore them, because ignoring them would mean that you are losing your students while you are delivering the lecture, or somewhere down the line, somewhere during the semester, the students will start feeling that the course is no longer relevant, the information which I am getting is no longer relevant or updated, so he will lose the interest. And once the student loses the interest, the learning is no longer there. The learning is with the interest. You have to create or inspire the interest of the student towards your subject. Okay, and this is obviously, in the end, we are doing it so that the students can grasp the knowledge which you are trying to deliver, which is important for his degree or for his graduation. Okay, and in the end he may decide that I want to go in this field or that field. That is another question, that is totally up to the student, but it is our job as teachers to inspire their interest in the subject and to make them feel that whatever they are learning is not outdated, or it's not just some sort of a classwork which will no longer be applicable in the field. Now, to generate or inspire this interest in the students, you have to be updated as well. Okay, and updating doesn't only mean that you read so many books. Okay, so only the books will not give you the updated knowledge. You have to broaden your scope of vision. Okay, you have to broaden your scope of vision so that you are taking knowledge from multiple sources. Okay, and in the end it is your job to filter it out, to filter the knowledge, to amalgamate it into something which you can tell the students. Let's see, I am teaching you this, and this is being applied here in this manner, and the future of this particular field or this particular technology is this. Okay, so what are the sources by which we can acquire this knowledge? So as I said, books is one of them. It's not the only one. This is what I was saying earlier. Books is one of them, one of the sources, but it is not the only one. Then you have research papers. Okay, we read research papers to do our own research, but sometimes the research papers must be read for the teaching as well. Okay, we sometimes neglect this aspect where we are reading the research paper, that how we can or what is the thing from this research paper which we can tell the students, which can inspire them, which can generate their interest, which can attract them towards the field. Okay, the third aspect, which is very obvious, very easy, especially in case of engineering, I think it is very relevant in this age of social media and information technology. It is relevant to all the fields, that you pick some common examples from the things which are directly in front of you. For example, I am a traffic engineer, so while I am teaching my course, it is very easy for me to give examples from the highways, which are in front of the house, and the streets which are going around your house, the streets which are around the university. Okay, and you can if some incident happened, an accident or something recently which was published, then you can give an example from that as well. Okay, if you are a structural engineer, then obviously the building, the construction work, you can give an example from there. Okay, so while you give these examples to a student, they create a visualization of what you were teaching. These examples create a visual format of the information which you were giving in the class. Then the rest of the thing becomes very easy. Okay, once the students gets that picture in the mind, then the rest of the things become very easy. Okay, then he can extrapolate it. Okay, he can think about it, and you are also boosting or igniting his thinking process, the thinking process of the student. So next time when he will face the same situation on the road, or while he is looking at the construction of a building, these things will come back into the mind. Okay, so you are already initiating the thinking process. So sometimes students come to me and they say that I saw this at one site. I saw this this thing being done like this and this at this particular highway or in this particular country. So what is the reason for that? Okay, so sometimes I learn things from them, that something which I didn't know, I get to know from them. Okay, so you are updating yourself through them. Okay, so research papers, books, but I think the last one was the most important one, and which is very easy to understand for the students as well, and it creates, like I said, the picture of the information which you are giving to the student. And a picture is worth 1,000 words, and in this case a picture is worth 1,000 research papers or 1,000 pages. Okay, if you can give a example from the field. So these are your sources. Never think that you know enough. If you want to be a good teacher, if you want to be an effective teacher, if you believe that what you are teaching is useful for the students, is useful for their curriculum, then you must not stop, or you must not rest at some intermediate level of information. Okay, nowadays you have videos and pictures as well, which are readily available on the internet, and sometimes they are a great help in understanding the concept yourself and then teaching it to the students. Okay, so a wise man once said that if you know what you don't know, then this is a sign that you are a scholar. The sign of a scholar is that he knows what he doesn't know. Okay, so if you feel that you know everything, so that means you are not doing justice to your job, and you are not doing justice to your students as well. Okay, so a teacher should be like what you call a sponge. Okay, so when you drop water on the sponge, it absorbs it. Okay, and then you leave it for some time, it dries out, then you leave some more water, it absorbs it. Okay, and it doesn't matter whether it's water or ink or whatever, it absorbs it. Okay, so you as a teacher, we should be like this. We should be looking to absorb the information. Okay, so you are basically a vessel through which the information is being transferred from multiple sources towards the student. Okay, so if the vessel is empty, the other end will not get anything. Okay, the guy at the other end will not get anything out of it. So you have to be that vessel, but that vessel has to be connected to multiple sources. Okay, one of the reasons that the education system lost its credibility, and students lost their interest was this. Okay, now students say that when we go to the field we learn a lot more, because the people who are in the field, they are not basically just teaching them from a particular book. They are basically after the experience which they have got over the years. Now they have amalgamated all this experience. They have made it into a comprehensive a comprehensive hard drive, a virtual comprehensive hard drive, through which they are now distributing it to their juniors. And that's why the professional or young professional, when he goes to the field, he is more excited than when he is in the class, because in the class he is just going through the motions, the same thing which is being taught in the same manner throughout the 12-15 years of his education. But when he goes to the field, he is seeing something, and then there's somebody who is explaining it. So this should be our job as a teacher. Okay, we should be showing them the things and then explaining it to them. Okay, so there is a famous terminology in modern teaching uh, sciences, which they call as the awe movement. Okay, you teach something and the students say, "Oh, now I understand it." So we should be having more of these awe movements in the class. Okay, that when you are teaching, the students feels that okay, this is something to which I can relate, or something which can mesmerize him, something which can you know which feels to him as something important and something very sophisticated. Okay, uh, so he feels that he is part of something which is a grand scenario. Okay, something which is happening in the daily life, and that thing is going to build up, it is going to expand when I go in the field. Okay, so you have to create the interest, you have to mesmerize him, but to do that your own learning process must be continual. Okay, so I think I have talked about continuous quality improvement earlier as well. So this is part of it. Continuous quality improvement is not just revising your curriculum and revising your course objectives. Okay, it is also these things. Okay, taking examples from the field, uh, uh, you know trying to create interest in the minds of the students in different ways, that is also part of continuous improvement cycle of the teachers. So I hope this was beneficial, and I hope and pray that Allah makes us from those who do justice to our job, and we spread good in the society through our students. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum.